I've evolved from before Family Man to Family Man 1 to 2 seasons of Family Man, and then I wrote all that. So now I think, though DK won't agree, because I think I'm a reasonably good writer. There are people whose hobby is, I don't know, collecting stamps. Okay. Now, if you're a person that loves stamps, it's fun for you. But for me, that's boring. Writing is also, especially screenwriting, is also that.
That guy is Suman Kumar, who's a stand-up comic, but you might better know him as the writer of the hit TV show, or should I say the hit Amazon Prime original, The Family Man. The Family Man starring Manoj Bajpayee and Priyamani. Yeah, this is part 2 of my conversation with Suman. So if you haven't checked out part 1 yet, now would be a good time to do so, because part 1 is filled with a whole bunch of insights and nuggets, especially around writing, showing up and doing the work. And if you want to be a writer or get into the media space, then highly recommend checking out part 1 before you proceed with this one. And also because of FOMO, well, you don't want to check out part 2 without checking out part 1, right? Yeah, well, you know how FOMO works. So yeah, in this episode, we talk about the importance of writing and scripting, how you need to show up as a writer every day and face the blank canvas, face the blank page. And also how storytelling is such an important art form, and it's super important in today's day and age where people can just, I think I mentioned this in the previous episode, where you can just, choose to quit or stop watching any piece of content. Also, how much effort goes into producing one simple or even a complicated piece of content, for that matter, be it a TV show, a movie, or even a regular YouTube video, or just a video like this one, right? And also how you need not know everything about your occupation or your art form or your hobby when you get started. Or maybe even a couple of years in, you don't need to know all of it, but it's all iterative. You slowly build on top of it and you've developed the skill set over. By the way, would you like to be featured on the show? Would you like to have your face plastered across the show? Okay, plastered might be a little bit of an overstatement, but if you'd like to be featured on the show, then you can just send in a short video talking about how the episodes or this podcast has helped you. And if you have a question for one of our guests or me, then you can send that in and we'll address it right here on the show and feature you on the show. Send in your videos to contact@akashdamodaran.com. By the way, this show's audio is brought to you by Sennheiser. I'll talk more about this collaboration a little later on in the episode. And yeah, with that out of the way, let's get to the episode. Yeah, by the way, if you do like the episode, promise me you'll hit the like button before you quit or stop watching this particular episode. So yeah, hit the like button if you like the conversation. Cool, then let's get into a conversation. This is my conversation, part 2 of my conversation with Suman Kumar. This is Against the Odds, and I'm your host, Akash Damodaran. This show is all about inspiring people to take the unconventional path and lead a life that is truly fulfilling and rewarding. Watch and listen as talented individuals take us through their learnings, the challenges they face, and how they continuously adapt to overcome them.
Rewrote Family Man each season at least a minimum 8 to 10 times, and that's hard work.
How do you explain that to me? How do you rewrite in a setting like that? Because with stand-up, like you said, it's all, the onus is on you. You go up on stage, you tank or you kill it or whatever, and then you kind of have your feedback loops. But how do you go about doing it in something like
there
mainstream?
is no feedback. Good question. Yeah. No, that is, see, most good creators, not most, all good creators, they have one thing that others don't have. Is like Hemingway said, an internal shit detector. They are very ruthless on themselves. They will write a scene, will say, Raj will say, yeah, it's nice. And then 2 days later, you realize that, hey, wait, in the context of episode 3, this scene is not going to work in episode 1 and it's going to ruin your, like this.
Yeah.
We have, I think the quest is to build a really strong internal shit detector. and Raj and DK are very, very ruthless about their own writing or whatever, our own writing. I'll speak for us, for what we created together. It's very ruthless. You have to be very, very ruthless. You have to be honest. Most important, honesty in storytelling is a very, very underrated virtue. And it's so, and it's hard work. I mean, I know I'm being cliched now, but it is that. It is like,
It is, dude.
on, like, it's like fine tuning it. It is that. And if you don't get an opportunity to rewrite it as much as possible, most times we rewrite as we are doing the scene. I know this is my last opportunity. This is our last opportunity before we can elevate this scene from its current current avatar, right? So yeah, and especially Raj is, like, for example, these are the ideas, like in season 2, if you've seen, Chellam sir comes and as a fisherman, and then he's like, Chellam sir, and see, did I just imitate Manoj Baju? Sorry Manoj, but he's washing his hand, he looks at him and then he says something, and he throws one chit at him, but he asks him a question, and then he says, stop wasting water. That stop wasting water is, it captured, like, so funny, people liked it, right? That's one of the things that made Chellam sir, like, that interesting character that people fell in love with, right? That is Raj was shooting it, that line was improved, like, so things like this, you keep, see, if you leave the choice to a writer, they will never allow you to
change anything.
No, they will never allow. They'll say no. They will keep rewriting.
Oh, okay, got it.
Like that, yeah.
They would never finalize or put their finger on it, is what he's saying. Yeah.
And also, like, and screenwriting is a different beast, because I believe that, see, one is coming up with a story idea. One is like, one is that saying, a guy who has the fear of heights is forced to climb Nandi Hills. Okay, I'm just saying. Okay,
just because it opened up 2 days ago.
I'm just saying he has to climb. Okay, not go drive. He has to climb. He has fear of heights. So let's say that's the story. It's an interesting, very interesting premise, right? But now when you get to it, you have to put it in a 3-act structure, or whatever structure you put, a good story will fit into the 3-act structure.
3-act, right.
So you have to understand what is the character. Why is he climbing? Was he a reluctant adventurer, or was he readily, accepting this journey? How do you come to the journey part? How does he say yes? From there it goes on. What are the obstacles that he faced? Who is the antagonist? Who is rolling down boulders from Nandi Hills towards him, so that he never succeeds in his mission? All this, you see where I'm going with it?
Yeah.
So this is in screenplay. This is treatment. Is it going to be a funny flick, or is it going to be like thriller?
Correct.
You decide, right? So you say no, it's going to be like or we'll bend genres. Crime comedy meets rom-com. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Please don't do that.
Yeah.
And so when you have like for example, Stree is horror meets comedy.
Correct.
I mean, it's a genre that existed.
Yeah.
But as a spoof in the West, right? All this.
Scary movie.
Yeah. I'm thinking of a name. Okay. So all that. So, but Stree, for example, which again Rajan DK.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Really?
Stree was written and produced by Rajan DK.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I was a script consultant on it.
Gas.
They told me it. I never knew. I'm like, I see my name is there, script consultant. I'm like, oh, acha, okay. And Stree, if you see, you will be scared. And then immediately you'll burst into laughter.
Yeah.
What an experience to create, right? Which is why people liked it. Genre bender, I'm just saying. So this entire thing, you need to see the number of things you have to decide before you finally get to screenplay. Getting to screenplay is the last thing. You get to structure first. Like, where do we start? Like, one day, Ramu was going, and then they said, hey, by the way, your mother is there in Nandi Hills and she cannot climb down. You have to climb Nandi Hills to save her. It's a boring story to tell. The structure, not story. Like, where you start in the middle, and then, he's climbing and he looks down and you start there. And then one guy gives him a hand and he gets up, like, how the hell did you end up here? Like, cut to flashback. That's another structure.
Yeah.
So you have to decide how exactly you want to do it. And then you write scenes and you demarcate like act one, inciting incident, plot point, midpoint, and then the whatever the twist in the tale before climax happens. All that you decide and you put slowly. You put scenes and come up with ideas how the story can move forward. And finally, you say, okay, now we'll write screenplay. That will take this whole thing to another level, right? There's so much there. You don't straight sit and write screenplay.
Yeah, of course.
And this exercise that I described, right? Until you write the screenplay, that is the better part of writing. That's mostly the hard work. Once you are already at the screenplay stage, it's almost like it's like the third act. Because this is hard work. Like if you ever visit Rajan DK's our office, D2R's office, you'll see that there are like conference rooms filled with post-it notes, like episode 1 to episode 10, many shows, whatever shows you'll see, and we'll keep moving these post-its and all that. It is fun if you if you are that person who likes writing. No, not post-it, writing. Post-it notes or the smell of the glue, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, this people who get into it, like they think that you go to film school and like, hey, I'm gonna become writer, but you don't realize that it takes, and that is just one part of it. Now to write a good screenplay, I mean, this I tell, even if you haven't written a movie yet or a show yet, I think it's important for people to go on set, which is probably the most boring thing for ordinary people, because you're doing the same thing. Again, he's doing the same dialogue. They don't know that they take different shots, whatnot, all that. It's boring for people. Like Chitra, my wife, will come and say, she's like, no, I'm not coming to set. I'm not coming on set because it's boring. But as an aspiring writer, if you go there and see like
the evolution itself,
see from paper to thing, you can see it there. It is the production experience, right? The idea of what goes on on a set. It is critical for a screenwriter, because sometimes like you go on a location, Raki, and then you say, sir, we're not getting those. The local line producer will say, tell the director saying, sir, we're not getting those locations, but only this is there. And then you're like, what do? Adapt the scene to this location. So see, content can change content continuously evolves based on as the project progresses. Like during development, it changes a little, obviously. And then during pre-production, it changes. And then finally, when you get on set, it again changes. So it is a very fascinating life cycle. And I think every writer should go through that. Every writer should go through this life cycle to understand, like they say, when you're writing a scene, you should see the scene in your head. Now, if you don't know all of this, it's very difficult to see.
Correct.
And like for whoever, like I'm also not an expert or anything. I'm just sharing whatever experience I have had as a writer, as someone. I've evolved from before Family Man to Family Man 1 to 2 seasons of Family Man, and then I wrote like
few things that the works and all that.
Yeah, all that. So now I think, though DK won't agree, because I think I'm a reasonably good writer.
You wouldn't be here, dude, otherwise. So of course you are.
Oh, what a flex that is.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, it's like there are people whose hobbies, I don't know, collecting stamps. Okay. Now, if you're a person that loves stamps, it's fun for you. But for me, that's boring. Writing is also, especially screenwriting, is also that.
Right. Actually, let's talk about that, no? Because, and writing is very fascinating for me because, again, this might seem like almost like child's play, but when I started trying to produce some reasonably high quality YouTube videos itself, I decided to go to the drawing board like a nice script.
Yeah.
Because I loved writing as a kid, and I lost that in the path of becoming an engineer. Let's put it that way. And then finally, when I rediscovered it, I was like, wow, this is great. But the act of showing up, so of course we'll get into that bit. I'd like to talk a little bit about what it takes to be a writer on a day-on-day basis. But more than that, when I got into it, right, I realize exactly what you're saying. And again, this is far more at a smaller level. But also, if you're a YouTuber in today's day, and the way I saw myself was, I will have to script it, I will have to produce it, I will have to feature in it, I will have to edit it, evolve all of it. You're basically producing an end-to-end bit, right? That's the way I see it. And as I was going through, I set up the shot, set up the light, and I look at it, I'm like, something's off, or this is off. Maybe delivery wise, I can change this up. So script is also evolving at that point. But just getting that first draft itself is so freaking difficult because you have to show up and write.
Yeah.
It is so not, and a lot of people have said this. It's nothing more nothing scarier than facing a blank page. Right, when you sit.
Yeah, but all that is very romantic.
I mean, it is, and
I'll tell
also
you
because
what.
it's like that's how it's showcased, right, by media.
No, I have a different take on it. It's a job.
Yeah.
For a tennis player showing up on the court and practicing every day and then going for tournaments, etc., is the job. Same for cricketers. See, the romance that surrounds this is purely because film and glitz and
Correct.
all that glitz and glamour, etc., all that you see, oh, I'm going to film fair, all that, it's fun, but behind every for every person that goes to for every team that same team has slogged for 1.5 years.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking development, pre-production,
Everything, yeah.
shooting, and then post-production. It's like every single team member from each project has. So let's leave the perks aside.
Yeah,
These are the,
of course.
Okay, I'm looking at it. I say it's a job because of what you just said. The only writing advice that I got, and it's worked for me, and it should work for everyone, is write at an appointed hour. You set a time, throw away your phone, sit there. If it's a blank paper and you say 9 to 11 I'm going to write, let's say.
Yeah.
From 9 to 11, even if you don't put one word on paper, on your laptop, as the case may be, do it. This advice comes from Stephen King.
Yeah.
Okay, now I don't think he's wrong. I think he knows what he's talking.
Dude, he's that guy's how many
he's
hits
my favorite.
after hits after hits. My God, dude.
So that is because you sit and write, and whether it is this whole thing about I don't have mood.
Writer's block.
I need to have a drink while writing because all that is sure, but you won't have that luxury tomorrow because if you all that what I'm saying, some people want a cabin by the woods and the view. Yeah, sure, you can afford that privilege. I can't. Okay, like I can write on a set. I can completely shut out all the noises that are happening and just focus and write. I think that is another thing. The ability to multitask. If you're going from one story to another, let's say you're writing 2 stories.
Yeah.
How you are in a certain
mind space. Yeah.
Have a hobby. What I do is, let's say I'm writing 2 films. I'm finishing work on this. Okay, I'm gonna finish this scene. Before I go to the next thing, I'll either play the guitar or watch something random, or you need to do something in between.
Unwind.
It's like the palate cleanser. Your brain also has a palate. It needs to be cleansed, and then you move to this to get into the mood of it.
Okay.
Writing is like I said. These are the things that I do. It may work for someone. It may not work for someone. I'm sure you'll find your own process.
Yeah.
But like I said, you do it because you absolutely in love with it. Otherwise, don't do it. Because writing is the last thing you must do when you're not really 100% into it. Because you have a responsibility of as a creator, because the words that you put there and the worlds that you create will have a lasting impact on the people who are watching. So you have that responsibility as well.
You also have the responsibility of other people executing what you're kind of
Correct,
putting down.
exactly. Right? Yeah, that's other, and also especially screenwriting.
Yeah.
especially screenwriting, is like you should know what not to write more than what to write. What to write will happen, but if you, I always tell people saying, don't worry about, hey, I don't know what I want. That's fine. Know what you don't want. That is very, very important, because it's like, what do you call it? This by elimination. As long as you're not doing the wrong things. When I say wrong things in the context of writing, let's say you're not describing somebody's nose ring and shirt colors and all that, you are good. So first, I think people should learn what not to write. And number two is sit down at your desk, and that's what was lacking in me for years.
How do you get around to doing it finally?
I quit my job.
So you...
I was forced. I'm like, otherwise, no, see, come on, I'm privileged. I was able to do it because my wife is a doctor. She's she's one of the leading endocrinologists in the country. And I don't think I'm going to be doing circus on, Queens Road. Yeah, Baba Dere. That's not going to happen. Yeah. And I'm also not, and my wife told me, try, you fail, no problem. Continue writing. She's like, it's not that failure is not an option. It's not that. No. Try. You try, something or the other has to work. I really want to rewrite my second book. It's already done.
Oh, okay.
I love, because in my novels, I have one novel, but I want to write more. I want to write at least 50 books before I die. I don't know if it's possible, but I'm sure it's possible. I mean, I have to get around to it. Because there I am the director, I'm the actor. I'm like, I on purpose I like, haha, he was wearing a red color shirt, and then I'll take a screenshot and send it to the production designer saying, see. so I mean, you and that's you can be 100%. You can have 100% control, more or less, because the editor from a publishing house will probably know this is not working. There will be a little bit, well, that's fine. You pretty much you are in control. I'm not saying I'm not a control freak. It's just that I can tell a story my way and completely my way. There are no interpretations. The interpretation is in the reader's head, because each book can offer thousands of experiences, because the author is putting triggers in your head in the book to trigger visuals, right?
Correct.
If I tell you I don't know, Akash walked in a desolate street, and the street lamp struggled to come to life, and the call of the spotted owl pierces the still of the night. You have lived the scene already. If you have read this, when I said, I mean, you have some visuals when I said that. No? She would have had a completely different word. You can do actually, exchange notes. It will be two different
interpretations,
auditory and visual experiences. I mean, the reason why I put the call of the owl pierces the still of the night is you would have heard, because for some the owl could be like cuckoo, but that's not the owl, right? You know what I'm saying? Not everybody knows, but it's a bird call, right?
Correct.
I'm a bird watcher as well, so I know. I keep sneaking in birds.
Oh yeah?
And DK hates it. Hey, why are you putting birds again? I'm like, yeah, it's a sound. It's for sound designer. Hint, hint. So that. So, yeah, I want to. I am also a stand-up comic, and I write books, and I'm doing film, and I'm shows. I mean, OTT.
How do you find that strike that balance between these two? Because, like you said, you're handling every bit of the novel writing. But when it comes to you being a screenwriter, you're doing it with a team, and there's a lot of back and forth, right? How do you kind of strike that balance? Because in the first case, you don't have too much of pushback apart from yourself.
But there is no push at all here, no. In screen, you're not going to go act there. Somebody else is going to act.
Correct. No, but that evolution also, right? So you are sitting with it on your own. Then you kind of start discussing it with
like all the DOPs, when everybody has the script, the direction team will come and poke holes. See, that's one thing. You can't say just because I wrote it.
I know.
It has to be set in stone. You can't have that, because cinema is teamwork. You have your production design team. You have the stylists. the costumes team, and then you have the sound designers, you have composers who score background. The directors will take care of it, but a writer gets to work with production design and the stylists a lot, because they're like, how do you see that character as, and they'll start sketching, and then so that happens. So that I don't know what the question was. What was it?
No, that balance between writing and novel.
No, because you know that. See, a screenplay is, so like somebody said it beautifully. A screenplay is basically an invitation that you create as a writer for other artists to come and perform. As long as you understand it, you're good. Screenwriting is not a literary pursuit. It's not in the true,
actually, yeah, absolutely.
in the truest sense of the word. A screenplay is a technical document. It's not literature, but I'm sure you can read it.
Yeah, but it'll never come to light the way it does, right? In front of people. Like only your team sees it. No one sees the movie screenplay. Like you don't sit down and start reading it.
Correct. It's not immediately consumable.
Exactly.
Or consumable
at all.
There are people who publish it for if you're interested in screenplays, you'll go buy. That's different.
Correct.
It's not. It's just batter.
Correct.
The finished product will come later.
Correct. And I think that's why
that rhymes. It's batter later. Wow, Suman. And you are making fun of improv people.
The Audio It Against the Odds is brought to you by Sennheiser. Yup, that's our audio partner. So I'm sure you already know what Sennheiser does. But for people who don't know, you've been either living under a rock, or maybe you don't know what these incredible pieces of equipment can really do. So from some of the best industry standard and leading microphones to some incredible headphones to, any kind of audio equipment, Sennheiser's got your back. I'll leave a link to pretty much all their products and a catalog in the description below for you guys to go check it out. But if you like what you're hearing here, it's all because of these microphones. So you want to go check out the MK4s and the MK8s by Sennheiser, and truly level your game up when it comes to audio and take it to the next level. Cheers. And I think that's why being a writer is such a, it's such a tough feat, because what you write now is only coming to fruition way down the line, right? So in the sense,
it's a life cycle.
Correct, absolutely. So you're not even getting like an instant feedback, if you will.
Like in stand-up, right?
Sure, exactly.
In stand-up, immediately you're bombing.
Exactly.
Like you die a little and then you go back home. You go home and cry. Okay. But you are sheltered here.
Yeah, that's true.
That's another thing. Which is why, say, when people say, hey, writers, writers is a purely B2B thing. Mm-hmm. Directors, producers know you and they call you, they like your work, they'll call and work with you. But when something bombs, the writer is not getting any flack. Mm. It's the directors who face the brunt of it, full brunt, which is why they should be. The actor takes the brunt.
Also, yeah.
The minute something fails, right, you are written off, right? One failure and you're like, the people are always, that guy, like that. But that's not the case. Which is why, that's come on. If somebody is risking that and going out on a limb and punting on it, saying we're gonna do it, and on top of that, Rajan Dikar produces. Think about that.
Yeah.
They run a production. They are writers. They are directors. Yeah. So now, they always ask, somebody was asking, saying, how come visibility of the writer? I'm like, no, that's completely, if I'm a novelist, then sure, you can, how come novelists are not famous? Because I don't write love stories, that's why I'm not famous. Okay, somebody said that, I didn't say it, guys. No. Okay, so, as a novelist, I failed with my first book, you can say. I didn't fail. Saying it didn't become a blockbuster, whatever, which is fine. I'm happy with it. It's becoming a show. But,
okay, nice.
So I'm just. So the writer is the writer is shielded and protected because the directors and the actors are taking the hit. Mm. So the question of, and when the whatever accolades come in, it should come in that
direction.
it should be in that proportion, right?
Got it. Makes sense. Yeah, I think, I
Yeah.
mean, you're the one who's getting the external flag, so obviously you should get the accolades as well, right? If it does come your way.
Yeah. No,
Absolutely.
and writers are in the sense that my audience, as in who I cater to, are these people. My directors, my actors, my team are production designers and their teams and stylists and direction and so on and so forth, right? So these are the people that I am recognized. I want to be recognized
Bye.
by, and it's and that sure. Like tomorrow, I mean, God forbid, if I act in a film or whatever, then if people don't recognize me, then yeah, I'll feel bad. But for now, as a writer, I am recognized left, right, and center, but within my universe, which is
Yeah.
the production, direction universe. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, and also I don't do it, that's another thing. I know it's philosophical. I don't do it for that, for recognition. I do it because that it comes naturally to me. I can sit and nitpick and write and chisel and whatever a story or a paragraph all day, all night, and I will not be bored because I love writing. I love storytelling. Let's put it that way. Which is why I also became a stand-up comic because I wasn't satisfied in ruining just one art form, like literature, stand-up comedy, and films.
Oh man. And how did you write in English, I assume?
Yeah.
Right? So how do you kind of bridge that gap in something like The Family Man where it's in Hindi?
There are people who will translate it.
So again, are you sitting with them and kind of
No, yeah.
you are
That also. Like for example, we had Manoj Kumar who wrote the Tamil lines.
okay.
And Sumit Arora wrote for season 1. He wrote the dialogues for.
Okay.
And in season 2, this was Supan who also directed a few episodes. Supan Verma and Manoj Kumar. Manoj, he was the one who wrote the Tamil lines, and he also was doubled up as a dialect coach.
Oh, okay.
So it's, I'll say, I think this character should say this. And he also I write in English, but this is one thing I learned again from Rajan DK is that, don't say, and then he looked at her and said, a stitch in time saves 9. Now, how will you write it in Hindi? You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So it has to be neutral.
Yeah.
It has to be neutral, so it's easy for someone to translate it, not just the language, but also the cultural translation
The
is
lingo.
also required. Yeah. So that we have dedicated dialogue writers who translate what exactly we want into culturally appropriate, linguistically appropriate lines. We have people. So yeah, but the toughest part is before you get to the dialogues part, you have to get to the character graphs and the story, and that's the fun part. In fact, left to me, I mean, Manoj Kumar and Sumit Arora are going to hate me for this, but I think dialogue should be minimal. I don't dialogues. Dialogue is a crutch in a visual. They say they're those elite people. They say it's a visual medium and you should. So, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
That's
No, but I was listening to this conversation around the creator economy, and they were talking about how there are so many creators today that's creating with no language barriers.
yeah.
Because either there's no dialogue at all.
K-pop.
Yeah, exactly. K-pop. Absolutely. So all of these, like transcending that boundary itself. There's that Kabi Lame. I don't know if you know him. The guy who just reacts to videos. There's this, he's from...
JB Koi. JB Koi also is...
Yeah, exactly.
JB
yeah.
Koi reacted to Family Man, no?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Say, language is never it's never a barrier.
Yeah,
take the K-pop, I'm going through instance and that one, some music is coming. I'm like, it's very captivating.
Yeah.
And she's singing something in Korean, but I'm like, now I'm hooked to it. Now, here's another thing, okay, as an aside. I used to worry saying, how am I going to discover new music? I never realized that it will be through Instagram. That one song is there now. I'm mind blown. It's a very simple song. Musically, it's very minimal, it's a groovy song. And I'm like, oh my god. I listen to Punjabi, a lot of my friends, I have Punjabi friends and or Delhi people, they recommend Punjabi music because I'm in love with that
genre.
I mean, it's not just that No, that there are the stereotype they are associated with. There's some great musicians, and
Of course.
there is a song by which is my current favorite. I'm trying to learn how to play it also by Bittle Singh. It's like brittle without R. Bittle Singh. It's called Chitt Karda. I think I pronounced it right. Chitt Karda is like beautiful song. So I'm like, so that's how you. But with Insta, the game has changed. I'm like, I go and swipe up reels to listen to which new song they are using now.
Oh man, such a funny world you live in.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is that you get to see so many artists, especially in film. As like in season 2, we worked with Bindu Malini, who we took her song to play in one of the episodes, and then you have, of course, Vasu Dikshit. His song is also there, and it was, and all these independent bands like especially Raj and DK also saying, let's take some of their songs and it's independent bands, and and you look at them, you're mind blown, like the amount of talent that exists in this country.
Yeah.
But so that's another perk. That's the perk that I really, really love is you get to work with people like I've met Arivu, I've spoken to Arivu, and from Arivu to some independent band from Pune, or I think even Fiddlecraft. There is a band called Fiddlecraft. We used a couple of their songs, I think. So I think they're all nominated for Filmfare now. How about that? Brilliant.
Yeah. Kick-ass.
So that's a perk you have as a when you work in films. That's the perk. You get to see Vijay Sethupathi operate from the best seat in the room.
Shit.
He's my favorite, one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
And when when we were shooting in Chennai, this is the side of Manoj Bajpayee which I really admire. He's a big star, right?
Yeah,
but
of course.
one of the
How many decades, man?
Yeah, one of the greatest actors. Look at his body of work. Some Bhikkhu Matre to Sardar Khan to Aligarh to Bhonsle to Family Man before that, after Aligarh. But he suddenly called and said, Suman, Vijay is coming to meet me. My mind was... and I'm like, Talapati, he's like, no, Vijay Sethupathi is coming. I said, either way, and he came so cool, so... And I also got to spend time with Vijay later. But anyway, Manoj is like that person. And you learn also, saying, suddenly you become your face comes on newspaper, right? The writer of Family Man is from Bangalore, and you're like, you kind of... and then you look at people like this, saying, oh, Padma Shri, National Award, Padma Shri. This guy, he's so chill. He'll call me and say, why are you not meeting me? I'm like, I told him, saying, Manoj, if I tell my wife that, Manoj Bajpayee called me and said, complaining that, why are you not meeting me? Why are you not coming and meeting me? She won't believe me.
Probably drop you at Queen's Road and that's it.
So that's the thing, right? I always say that, I recently read a quote that said, what wisdom other than kindness are you really looking for? And people say, oh, you're also chilled out. I'm learning from the best. And that, I have a theory by which writers should live. Okay, I have a theory.
That's good, because I was going to ask you one last thing. This is perfect.
I like the way he said last thing. Huh?
Because I normally do ask of all my guests. And I was going to say something on the writer's line, but you kind of read my mind, so perfect.
So a writer should live by this. Okay? And more than anybody else, artists should live by this. Any artist, stand-up comedian, I don't know, writer. Greatness is also about not taking yourself too seriously. If you stop, or as George Carlin said very, very eloquently and succinctly, he said, it is important to not give a shit. So if you don't give a shit, the variation of the other quote is Bob Dylan. I think it's in Subterranean Blues. He says, when you got nothing to lose. So, I think that's a good closure to this session. Don't give a shit.
Oh, man. Oh, Suman, this was great, man. I mean, I'm glad we finally made this happen. I mean, I know we've been
I'm
working on
sorry
this-
that like a diva, I was like,
No, no,
I
no.
was ghosting him and all. It wasn't intentional.
No, no, no. Of course not. Of course not. No, I'm glad we finally got this to happen. And dude, congrats on winning the award. I saw
What
the
win?
I saw the previous one. I looked at. I only saw your DP now because I think you added my number now. And I saw your DP
Yeah.
on WhatsApp. I was like, great, congrats. I mean, I haven't congratulated you, so congrats.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
man. Thank
and I think the next.
I'll tell you one. Next thing is that we are
When is that?
nominated. I don't know. I don't know when.
Next month or something on those lines. Right?
Something like that, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Or maybe in December. I don't know. I don't know. I told you, right?
yeah.
The previous.
Yeah. Yeah, you were saying.
One fun story about Filmfare. Like, so we win the award. We go up. This is for best dialogues, okay?
Oh, this is for best dialogue.
dialogue.
Okay, okay.
We go
This is
up.
nice that after you took a dump on not needing dialogues.
No. Best dialogues, like who are there? Raj, DK, Suman Kumar, 2 Tamilians and 1 Telugu guy. And Sumit Arora is the only Hindi guy there.
Right.
Okay. Danish State was there. He was emceeing the event. Danish State, hey, 3 South Indians and 1 whatever, something he's saying.
Yeah.
And I got an idea. Like, so everybody spoke and thank you all that they did. And I said, Nimmellarige Namaskara.
Oh,
There
man.
was absolute silence in the room. Danish lost his shit. He's like, dude, what are you doing? You won the award for Hindi dialogues, man. I'm like, I truly believe that I don't take myself seriously. I mean, that helps.
Right. Oh, man. Anyway, thanks a lot, Suman. This is great. And if you have to send people online, where can they find your work?
I'm on Instagram as I am Suman Kumar, one word. Yeah.
That should have everything, I assume.
I don't want people to follow me on Twitter. So.
Now that you've said it,
Yeah.
it's like almost
They'll
like a
find out.
reverse,
They'll find.
reverse curveball. Oh, man. Thanks a lot, Suman. This is
Thank
great,
you.
man.
But, one last question I have. Where are you taking me for beer now? I like the way you didn't answer that.
You didn't even give me a chance.
Yeah,
bro.
we are in the-
We'll walk across
Yeah,
to any
because-
of the points that you want.
I have an hour.
So yeah, that concludes my conversation with Suman. If you're stuck around till now and you liked it, I'm assuming you liked it, then please do hit the like button. And while you're at it, do subscribe and leave a comment as to what you found most interesting in this episode. I'm assuming you liked the conversation and that's why you're stuck around till now. So yeah, it'll mean the world to me and it'll cost you nothing. Just hit the like button. If you are listening to this over audio though, then consider leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, whichever platform it is you're listening on. Like I keep saying again and again on the show, it's very hard for audio podcasts or for you to really make it in the audio realm. So for people to discover you in the audio space, very few things work because we don't have algorithms that are as strong or as iterative as the ones that are there on YouTube. So yeah, if you leave a rating and review, it's just going to cost you 10 seconds or 15 seconds of your life, but it'll mean the world to me and it'll help get the show in front of more people. And yeah, like I said at the beginning of the conversation, if you would like to be featured on the show, or if you'd just like to share your insights or your feedback or your comments, or if you have a question for me or the guests, then send in your videos to contact@akashdamodaran.com and we'd love to feature you. I guess that's it. I'm pretty much done with everything I jotted down here. So yeah, I will see you on the next one. Cheers.